Here we are in the parlor of Mount Bleak House. Today we have it decorated with all antique furniture to fit some of the styles that would have been popular during the more than 20 years that the Settle family lived in the home. The parlor was always the fanciest room in the house, and it contained the nicest and newest furniture. Furniture during this time period was typically rotated throughout the home, going from the parlor into the parents' bedroom and then to the children's bedroom before ultimately being phased out of the house. The parlor wallpaper that we have is a reproduction print of a mid-1800s design that coordinates with the colors that the woodwork seems to have been painted when the Settles lived at Mount Bleak. Recently we added curtains and cornices to each of the rooms in the house that fit popular styles from the mid-1800s and also coordinate with the wall coverings of the room. These curtains are intended to fit two functions. Not only do they help to make the room look more complete, but they also will help to protect the furniture from any further UV light, and also we hope that it will help hold in some of the heat during the winter and regulate the temperature of the house. From the window behind me, you're able to see Belle Grove. That was Isaac Settle's original home and where Abner spent most of his childhood. His sister Betsy Edmonds had married Lewis Edmonds, and they owned Belle Grove from the 1840s through the 1860s. And their daughter Amanda Edmonds kept a diary from 1857 to 1867, accounting for daily events at the two farms, Paris, and in northern Fauquier County. It's because of Amanda that we know so much about Mount Bleak and the Settle family. Furnishings that we know were in the parlor, because Amanda mentions them in her diary, are a sofa, a piano, and a rocking chair. There was a candle stand, a center parlor table. We've got several wooden chairs. There are pictures on the walls that might have been of either landscapes, famous people, maybe religious scenes, and Currier and Ives prints that were popular at the time. The piano that we have in this room is an 1860s square grand piano produced in Baltimore. This style was incredibly common for the time, but when the mass production of upright pianos hit in 1870, this style all but disappeared entirely. The parlor was a room that was generally used by adults. Guests would be entertained in here and perhaps listen to music. Abner himself was a very talented multi-instrument musician, and his daughter Isabel played the piano. This is where the family entertained company, and Amanda Edmonds describes dances that took place here on evenings during the Civil War, and she also writes of two weddings that occurred in this very room during the Civil War. There were often singing, dancing, games that occurred amongst the Settles, the Edmonds, and their many visitors. One guest Amanda mentions in particular that took part in the music was a young man named M.W. Flannery. She refers to him often as Mr. Flannery, and Mr. Flannery was a Confederate soldier with Mosby's battalion. He was a very talented musician, and his instrument of choice, which was quite a novelty to Amanda and her family, was the banjo. And they thought of it as a novelty because it was a very unique and uncommon instrument at the time. Mr. Flannery often joined Abner and others playing music for the enjoyment of visitors during his visits to both Mount Bleak and Belle Grove. Unfortunately, in 1864, Mr. Flannery was killed near Nokesville. He had left his banjo in Amanda's care, and on Wednesday, April 20th, 1864, she writes in her diary, "Poor Mr. Flannery has been killed. Oh, how sad to think of it when we see his loved instrument sitting in the corner waiting, silent and mute as a soldier in his grave."